Okay. A very good morning to all of you and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about an unfortunate incident in the state of Kerala. It is about that. The reasons behind that particular incident, loss of life, loss of property, and any editorial that deals with this is not a natural disaster. In a way, it is a man made disaster. So you have to think of the questions like what happened, where it happened, when it happened, and why it happened, how it happened, who is responsible, and how to prevent similar incidents in future. Let us start the session with the question, what is enrichment? The very first one, comprehension skill. When you read an editorial like this, obviously you get an idea, you improve your comprehension skill related to either natural disasters or man made disasters. And you will learn a few important lexical terms and also word combinations. In fact, today I have seen, though some are familiar words, 25 plus words are there in this editorial. You will improve your vocabulary, obviously. 25 plus words, not a small number from one editorial. Grammar consolidation, effective English, mini mocks, vocab consolidation. We are going to work on all these. Let us start the session with the question, what is this editorial about? This editorial addresses the recent deadly landslides. Deadly means causing death. Deadly landslides. A major chunk of earth or soil comes down, then we say a landslide in Wayanad, Kerala, and discusses the broader issues contributing to these disasters. As I said, this is only one incident, but when it comes to a similar incident, we have to find out the reasons behind. The editorial also discusses the reasons behind and how to prevent in future. What is the tone? The tone of the editorial is serious, critical, and urgent. Serious, loss of life, loss of property, and critical, criticizing the government and other central agencies, and also urgent. Something has to be done on war footing, very important. There are about 25 plus words, but I have brought about 10 or 12, the reason being time constraint. And also, many words are quite familiar, those who have been attending these sessions regularly. What is the very first word here? Disaster. This is all about a particular disaster and not a man, not a in a way, natural disaster, but man is responsible, man is behind. So you can say it is man made disaster, meaning a sudden event such as an accident or natural catastrophe. This is an important word that causes great damage or loss of life. Not only loss of life, but also loss of property on a large scale. Something happens on a large scale, we use words like catastrophe, mishap, unfortunate incident, disaster. All these words are related words. Example, the earthquake was a disaster that devastated. We also use the word devastating impact, upheaval. These words you have to recollect. The entire region. Synonyms, catastrophe, calamity, tragedy, blessing, success, fortune. You should also think of words like mishap. And impact of that, you have to think of words like devastating, one word, and also upheaval. Upheaval has two or three meanings, but in this context, causing a major damage on a large scale. And there's one important idiom. What is that? Wreak havoc. Wreak havoc. A wreak havoc also means causing damage on a large scale. Important expression. The second word we have got for the first time, at least in the recent past, denuded. Inundation means related to water. Here, denude. What does it mean? Part of speech verb. To strip. Strip means to remove. To strip something off its covering, possessions, or assets. In a nutshell, make something bare. Bare means without. We use expressions like barefoot, bare body, and bare means without. Bare infinitive grammar point of view. The hillside was denuded of trees. And do remember it takes a preposition of. Denuded of what? Of trees of fauna, flora, not fauna, flora. After the wildfire. Imagine there's a wildfire, many trees are lost. Then we say denuded of trees or flora, plants of a region. Stripped, bared, exposed, covered, clothed, protected. Simple words. Vulnerable. Vulnerable, we have got many. Havoc, I have written already. Vulnerable, we have got many a time. Vulnerable means to be in a situation where someone can exploit you or take advantage of the situation. Susceptible to physical or emotional harm or attack. You're likely to get attacked, you're likely to get exploited. Then we say vulnerable situation, vulnerable community. The village was vulnerable to flooding due to its low lying position. Imagine there's a village, low lying position. Obviously, it is prone to, it may experience floods or inundation. Yes. Synonyms susceptible, defenseless, exposed, to be in a weak situation, protected, secure, invulnerable. Simple words. Calamitous. We get this from calamity, a natural calamity, a natural disaster, a catastrophe, a mishap. They all mean the same. Part of speech adjective involving calamity, catastrophic, or disastrous. Example, the calamitous storm destroyed homes and infrastructure. Obviously, whenever there is a storm, it will definitely destroy the particular place. And here you have to recollect based on infrastructure. What comes under infrastructure? Housing, water, power, roads, transport, and now they have included education also under infrastructure. Disastrous, catastrophic, devastating, fortunate, lucky, beneficial. All are synonyms. Bear the brunt. Even this idiom we have got. No, we cannot use Achilles heel in this context. We cannot. Achilles heel means not Achilles, Achilles. Achilles heel means there is a person. He is very strong, he is perfect, but one particular aspect he is weak. That is known as, in his personality, a weak trait or a weak quality is known as Achilles heel. That doesn't go with this context. Bear the brunt we have got a few times. What does it mean? To suffer the worst part or the chief impact of an attack or disaster. Imagine there's a problem and some sort of suffering. A particular person has to bear the lion's share of that suffering, the major chunk of that suffering. Then we say he had to bear the brunt, an important one. Example, the coastal towns bore the brunt of the hurricane's force. Imagine there is a hurricane. Hurricane is a word that is used in the Western Hemisphere, mid Atlantic hurricane, but in this part of the world we use cyclone. Whenever there is a cyclone, which part gets bears a brunt? Obviously, the coastal belt bears a brunt. The coastal towns bore the brunt, bear, bore, born, remember, of the hurricane's force. Endure, suffer, withstand. Avoid, escape, elude, an important word. Landslide. This is all because of landslide. Burnt fingers is different one, not related here. He burned his fingers means when you try something and you expect a positive result, but you suffer losses, then we say he burned his fingers in export business. He burned his fingers in cryptocurrency. That's a different context altogether. Landslide and this particular incident in Kerala because of landslides, the sliding down of a mass of earth or rock from a mountain or cliff. Imagine there's a mountain or a cliff, huge chunk of soil or earth comes down. That is known as landslide. The sliding down means coming down of a mass of earth or chunk of soil or earth also you can say, or a rock from a mountain or cliff. Example, heavy rains are triggered landslides that block the main highway. When you go to certain areas like the Himalayan region, and here the Western Ghats. Obviously, hilly regions, whenever there are heavy rains, you come across regular landslides. And obviously, landslides block the highway or block the traffic routes. Rock slide, avalanche. Avalanche has a different meaning. Avalanche goes with, to understand that, first you have to know the word glaciers. Glacier singular. What is a glacier? A thin sheet of ice that keeps moving very slowly. And when it reaches a slope, it falls down with a lot of force, immense force. And that is known as avalanche, an important word. You all must have seen Bahubali movie, one or two, I'm not quite sure. But in that movie, they show avalanche. And mudslide also, you can say stability, equilibrium, not exactly opposite of that particular word. Sediment in a way goes with geography. Because it is all about landslide, a few words go with science here. One of the words, sediment, sedimentation, we say. Part of speech noun, matter that settles to the bottom of a liquid, dredging, we say. And here, something gets settled at the bottom, usually mud, debris. Then we call that sediment. And the process is called the sedimentation. The sediment in the river created a muddy delta. Whatever gets settled, that has created a muddy delta. Deposits silt residue, clear filtered. Debris. Here, I would like to caution the letter S is silent, not debris, debris. S is silent. Part of speech noun. Scattered fragments typically of something wrecked or destroyed. Actually, when you think of the word debris, you have to think of one particular word, that is wreckage. And also you have to think of shipwreck. Shipwreck means a ship going, getting drowned, or going upside down, turning upside down, turn turtle, and capsize, an important word. When a boat or ship gets capsized, and after some time it may hit rocks and the parts may get separated, then those parts are known as a wreckage. And that particular incident is called shipwreck. And small parts we use the word debris. Imagine there's a plane crash. After the plane crash, also you see the parts scattered all over, and those small parts we use the word debris. Scattered fragments typically of something wrecked or destroyed. Example, the debris from the explosion was scattered over a wide area. Because of the explosion, debris got scattered all over. Rubble, wreckage, remains, cleanliness, order. But you have to remember these words. Whenever you think of shipwreck or plane crash, you have to think of all these words. Swath, large piece of land, a broad strip or area of something. Usually we say a large or wide strip of land, we say swath. A broad strip or area of something, part of speech noun. The hurricane cut a swath of destruction through the town. Means large area got destructed or devastated. Band, strip, area. Patch, piece. Patch is small. On a large scale, wide area, we use the word swath. Humus, the organic component of soil formed by the decomposition of leaves and other plant material by soil microorganisms. The microorganisms decompose the organic matter that is known as humus. It is also a science term. The rich dark humus is excellent for growing vegetables. Potholes, not patch holes. We have to say potholes, P-O-T, potholes. Compost, mulch, organic matter. All these go with cultivation of plants. Barren soil, sterile soil. Barren land, usually we say, opposite of fertile. But opposite of fertile, we also use the word sterile. That's a different meaning. Prone takes a preposition to. Prone to something means what? Part of speech adjective. Likely to or liable to suffer from. Do or experience something. Typically something regrettable or unwelcome. Someone or something likely to experience something that is not positive, something that is negative, prone to disease, prone to accidents, prone to risks. These are the combinations you have to know. Look at the example. The region is prone to earthquakes, means likely to experience earthquakes. Susceptible, vulnerable, inclined, resistant, immune, unlikely. Caught off guard. I think we have got this recently. I was caught off guard. Means I was not expecting something bad or negative, or I found something very surprising, not at all expecting. Then I say I was caught off guard. And here, if I'm surprised a lot, there's one important expression you guys have to know. I was taken aback. We use always in passive voice. I was taken, that is true. Israel was caught off guard by Hamas on October 7th. Exactly. I was taken aback means I was surprised a lot. The sudden storm caught the hikers off guard. Surprised, unprepared, startled. Startled also means surprised. Surprised a lot. Ready, prepared, alert. Fragile. Whenever you talk or write about environment, ecosystem, you have to think of words like fragile, brittle. But fragile ecosystem, a typical combination you have to know. Part of speech adjective, easily broken or damaged. For this, we have another word, brittle. Fragile, generally, we give the meaning delicate. Fragile means what? Delicate. Brittle also you have to recollect immediately. Flabbergasted, that is true. Eggshells and glass, I give the example brittle, eggshells. Easily, you can easily break. Delicate, what is the example? The fragile glass vase you can say, vase you can say, shattered when it fell. Means broke into pieces. Delicate, breakable, brittle. Sturdy, strong, durable. Whenever you come across the synonyms, antonyms, familiar words, you don't have to spend a lot of time. But you may come across one or two new words, difficult words. After the session, you have to spend some time, and that habit will help in the long run. Otherwise, we forget after some time. Here, brittle, sturdy, very strong, you have to remember. Compromised. Compromise has many meanings. Compromised means doing something that is not acceptable, doing something that is not advisable. Part of speech verb to weaken or harm by accepting standards that are lower than is desirable. You try to accept something that is not standard or lower than acceptable standards, then we say you compromised on quality. A typical example, don't compromise on quality or don't compromise on excellence, don't compromise on something good. You have to stick to that. The building structure was compromised by the earthquake. A different example here means it could not withstand the earthquake. Weakened, impaired, undermined. We have got these words many a time. Undermined, to weaken someone. Strengthened, secured, fortified. Opposite. Rehabilitate. Generally, imagine there's a natural disaster like earthquake or floods. People are evacuated. First, you have to know the word evacuate. Evacuate means what? To shift people to a safer place and are kept in a particular place. That place is called rehabilitation center. And this word rehabilitation goes with drug addicts as well. If you take drug addicts, they are taken to de-addiction ward. That is also known as rehabilitation center. To restore someone to health or normal life by training and therapy after imprisonment, addiction, as I said, or illness. But it also goes with natural disasters. Example, the program aims to rehabilitate injured animals before releasing them back into the wild. Imagine there's a wild animal got injured, then you try to take care of it. You take that to a rehabilitation center. After proper treatment, you leave it in the forest. Restore, recover, renew, deteriorate, damage, harm. This is an important word. Deteriorating standards means going down. We have so many words today. I said 25 plus words, but haven't brought all the words. Feasible. Tomorrow, if you become a bank manager, someone comes to you with a particular project, then you check whether it is commercially viable or not. Viable means a feasible, means possible. Feasible part of speech adjective, the state or degree of being easily, conveniently done. One simple word, possible, that is enough. Example, the feasibility of the project depends on several factors, including cost and resources. Whenever we talk about a particular project, we talk in terms of the feasibility aspect, viability, practicability, possibility, impractical, impracticality. And you have to know one combination, commercially viable, commercially not viable. Means feasible, not feasible. So many words, more words are there when I read, when I do the analysis, obviously come across more words, though familiar. What is a stimulus to write this? Any editorial needs, the newspaper needs a particular event, incident, or policy or a statement by someone, something of that sort that acts as a stimulus. Based on that, the newspaper comes up with the news article or the editorial. Here, unnatural disaster, as I said, natural disasters we talk about, but here the editorial starts with a different word altogether. How does it start? Unnatural disaster means, in a way, man is responsible, man made disaster. On the Wayanad landslides, what is the main idea? Kerala must restore denuded flora. Must is used to express a personal obligation or an obligation imposed by the speaker. And here the editorial's opinion, must restore what? That particular area lost the trees, denuded. So they have to restore the denuded flora of that region. Flora means the plants of a particular region. And rehabilitate people in vulnerable areas. There are people in vulnerable areas, they have to be rehabilitated and they have to be taken to safe places. Climate change can encourage unprecedented weather, precipitating natural disasters of magnitudes that may surprise local responders. What is the main culprit? It starts with climate change. Climate change can encourage unprecedented weather. Unprecedented means never seen before. And when you see the word weather, you have to recollect two words. One, this weather. What is the other one? Goes with grammar. WHETHER. That is one thing. You should also recollect the difference between climate and weather. What is the difference between climate and weather? Climate is a pattern of weather conditions for 100 or 200 years, and weather is everyday affair. That is the reason why when you watch TV, they say weather, today's weather report. They never say climate report. Climate change can encourage unprecedented weather, precipitating natural disasters. Here, precipitate means make something happen. It's a word that goes with chemistry, but make something happen. Precipitating natural disasters of magnitudes means the size, the range that may surprise local responders. Something happening, that is one thing, but something happening on a large scale, the magnitude is unimaginable. Obviously, the local responders, those who experience that particular natural disaster, will get surprised or they may not take it also. The calamitous landslides in Wayanad district in Kerala on July 30th are not necessarily such disasters. One is a natural disaster. Here, what does it say? First, a statement. The calamitous landslides in Wayanad district in Kerala on July 30th are not necessarily such disasters. Means they are not natural disasters in a way the editorial is trying to tell us. Parts of Kerala have been bearing the brunt of heavy rains during the southwest monsoon, and landslides are a yearly affair. If you take Kerala, it is on the west coast, Western Ghats, and so we have what is a source of rains for us, monsoon, and we have two types of monsoon. If you talk about first one, southwest monsoon, the other one, northeast monsoon, also known as retreating monsoon. But when you talk about southwest monsoon, Kerala bears a brunt, means Kerala experiences heavy rains and many a time, frequency and heavy rains also. This talks about parts of Kerala have been bearing the brunt. Have been bearing, tell me which tense is that? It is present perfect continuous. Have been bearing the brunt of heavy rains during the southwest monsoon, and landslides are a yearly affair. They happen regularly, but not on a large scale. This one on a large scale. But deadly landslides are new. As I said, if you go to the Himalayan region, very good, I appreciate Nagesh, present perfect continuous tense. If you go to the Himalayan region, the foothills of the Himalayas, landslides are very common. Any hilly region, any mountain region, and Western Ghats, landslides are very common. But landslides of this magnitude, not something that happen regularly, something new. Deadly landslides. When the magnitude increases, the same landslide becomes a deadly one. Deadly means what? Causing death. But deadly landslides are new. This week, heavy rains triggered multiple landslides that have killed 200 people and laid waste to a few villages. In fact, a few villages disappeared. A few villages disappeared. A few people also, about 600 migrant workers from either Bengal or Bihar, missing. They're trying to find out. 600, not a small number. And a few villages completely disappeared because of the mud or the debris. It talks about this week what exactly happened. Heavy rains triggered multiple landslides that have killed 200 people and laid waste. An important word. Tell me why. We have two, I have told many a time, lie can be a noun, lie can be a regular verb. You all can handle these two. Lie can be an irregular verb. Lie, lay, lain. But we have another verb, lay, laid, laid. Lay means to put something down. It goes with foundation stone. It goes with rules and regulations. It goes with things. It also goes with birds lay eggs and also roads. Here, mud being laid. Laid a waste, not only mud, waste to a few villages. The region is a tourist destination. Now, this particular Wayanad, it's a tourist destination. And obviously, a lot of tourists go there. The region is a tourist destination and incentivizes infrastructure development to maximize revenue potential. Incentivizes infrastructure development. What is the reason? Imagine a particular place is very popular with the tourists. They try to develop that region. That results in better infrastructure so that more tourists visit that and they get more revenue. Both are interrelated or linked. Incentivizes infrastructure development to maximize revenue potential. But when the ecosystem is fragile, you try to spend money and you try to develop the infrastructure. When it comes to a fragile ecosystem, the result is going to be devastating. The same thing happened in the Himalayan region also. The Chalia River here springs from an altitude of around 2 kilometers and flows in a sheer path down towards Vellarmala. These are places in Kerala. The Chalia River. Before a river, we have to use a definite article the, that you have to recollect, an important rule. Here, springs from means starts from an altitude, the height of around 2 kilometers, and flows in a sheer path down towards Vellarmala, bringing fast waters that also sweep relatively more sediment downstream. When water comes down, if the soil is loose, earth is loose, what happens? The water takes with it the soil, the sediment, and get that sediment or that soil which comes with water gets settled somewhere. In that process, people may experience The buildings may collapse, people may get buried, all these things happen. The rains this year further increase the river's volume and force. Heavy rains, the force increases, the volume also increases, which swept up debris and deposited it in the villages settled on less steep land where many of the deaths have been reported. So this water, more force, more water carried with it the debris or the silt or the sediment, whatever, and deposited, swept up debris and deposited it in the villages settled on less steep land, lower level, where many of the deaths have been reported present perfect passive voice. But the tragedy is compounded means increased by some other factors. But the tragedy is compounded by the fact that heavy rains here in 2020 had caused Chalia to strip swaths of its upstream areas of plant cover, leaving more rocks and humus vulnerable to being displaced. 2020 something happened. That time what happened? The flora was denuded, means the land was stripped of the plants and trees. And when the trees are not there, imagine heavy rains, obviously the chances for the soil and the silt to get removed, it happens within no time on a larger scale. It talks about that to strip swaths of its upstream areas of plant cover, leaving more rocks and humus vulnerable to being displaced. Means they'll be displaced within no time. Coming to the second part of the editorial, the geographical peculiarities. Peculiar means what? Abnormal, not normal, different, strange, weird, abnormal, peculiar. Generally, we use that with peculiar behavior. The geographical peculiarities of landslide-prone Idukki, Kottayam, Malappuram, and Wayanad have been evident for years. That means they have been experiencing landslides in these regions. They also feature prominently on landslide risk maps and have been marked. They belong to landslide risk areas prone to landslides. Blame for the landslide's deadly recurrence. Recurrence means happening again and again. Whom should be blamed? Whom should we blame? Or what should be blamed? Blame for the landslide's deadly recurrence must thus be shared by climate change and a state that has been repeatedly caught off guard. Two things. One is climate change and the state not prepared, caught off guard many a time. This time also, it was not expecting. A recurring issue is an abject lack of advance warning. I'm sorry. A recurring issue is an abject lack of advance warning and emergency preparedness. A recurring issue, they should be prepared, but here lack of warning, one problem, and also emergency preparedness. Whenever a particular region is prone to a natural disaster, the government, the state, and the center should be prepared, should be ready for any eventuality. And when something happens, they have to respond on war footing. War footing means immediately. They should not relax. They have to be on their toes and they have to start the rescue operations immediately. But here that is missing, I suppose. Landslides are more common in ecologically fragile areas. It goes without saying, it is quite obvious. Ecologically fragile areas prone to landslides. Landslides are more common in ecologically fragile areas or delicate areas. The monsoons have been producing, again, we have present perfect continuous tense. The monsoons have been producing what? More short bursts of intense rain, resulting in some soil types becoming easier to dislodge. Sudden outburst, what happens? Some soils may get dislodged, means they get carried away with water. Dislodge while quarrying, linear infrastructure development, construction activities, and monocropping have compromised ecosystems' ability to cope with changing natural conditions. A lengthy sentence, what does it say? The monsoons have been producing more short bursts of intense rain, and what is the result of that? Resulting in some soil types becoming easier to dislodge while quarrying, linear infrastructure development, construction activities, and monocropping have compromised ecosystem's ability. That means what? Because of all these activities, the ecosystem lost its ability to withstand heavy rains or sudden rains, to cope with changing natural conditions. Not ecosystem not able to cope with the changes. For these reasons, patterns of land use must not change, and the state must restore denuded flora and rehabilitate people in these areas to ensure they have other opportunities for their welfare. Here, the editorial suggests something. So, what is the state government supposed to do? For these reasons, patterns of land use must not change. They have to maintain a status quo. Status quo means what? Same thing. The pattern that goes with the flora of that particular region. Patterns of land use must not change, one thing, and the state must restore denuded flora. They have to go for afforestation and they have to restore the denuded flora and rehabilitate people in these areas to ensure they have other opportunities for their welfare. As recommended by the Western Ghats Ecology Expert Panel, Kerala must also decline engineering projects. We had a similar things, we had a few incidents of this kind in the Himalayan region. That time also the suggestion, they should stop the construction of dams in the Himalayan region. Fragile ecosystems get affected. Here also more or less the same thing. Expert panel suggested what? Kerala must also decline, means refuse engineering projects in ecologically sensitive areas and their surroundings and constitute, equip staff. They have to do all these things for what? And empower expert committees that deliberate the feasibility of other projects here. They have to form committees, and those committees have to deliberate, means discuss in detail the feasibility of the projects in that fragile ecosystem. Indeed, the panel's recommendations were designed to tame the effects of unpredictable weather without also denting economic growth. When you bring in the experts, their suggestions, they usually take a holistic approach. They keep in mind the development aspect. They also keep in mind the fragile ecosystem. Indeed, the panel's recommendations were designed to tame, means to control, the effects of unpredictable weather without also denting economic growth, without affecting economic growth. But Kerala today is sliding past the point of having an option to balance development needs with environmental concerns. Today is sliding past the point of having an option, means slowly it is losing the option of balancing these two. One, the development, the other one, protecting the fragile ecosystem. And this incident is an example for that. That's all for about today's editorial, an important one. And you may get natural disasters have given many a time. You may get in the exam natural disasters, a passage, and you have to have contextual awareness, lexical terms, word combinations, and related idioms and phrasal verbs. Then you're ready to answer many questions. Try to answer this one. What term is used in the editorial to describe the state of the landslide affected areas in Kerala? Economically robust, ecologically fragile means what? Ecologically delicate. That's why so much of devastation. What dual approach does the editorial suggest Kerala must take regarding development and environmental concerns? Both are important. Development is important, so is commercial development, so is ecological uh, conservation. Prioritize economic growth over environmental conservation? No. Balance development needs with environmental conservation, obviously. Focus solely on environmental conservation? No. Ignore both development and environmental concerns? Not correct. So here you have to think of something like balance both. On the one hand, economic development, on the other hand, protecting the fragile ecosystem. According to the editorial, what has been compromised due to human activities like quarrying and construction? Economic growth? No. Ecosystems' ability to cope with changing natural conditions. Because of these activities, ecosystem lost its ability to cope with the natural changes in the environment. B is the answer. What does the editorial suggest should be restored to mitigate the impact of landslides? Mitigate. How to reduce the impact of landslides? What is the suggestion from the editorial? Tourist facilities, industrial zones, river dams. No, denuded flora has to be restored. That is the suggestion given by the editorial. What recommendation does a Western Ghats ecology expert panel make to mitigate the effects of unpredictable weather? How to mitigate the impact of unpredictable weather? What is the suggestion from the panel or Western Ghats ecology expert panel? Increase industrial development? No. Decline engineering projects in ecologically sensitive areas. That is obviously understood. Decline means refuse, say no to engineering projects in that fragile ecosystem area. It is not these. These are all negative things. That's all about the five questions. Let us go to error location. Read the first one and try to spot the error. The movement of persons from Chennai have led to an increase in the number of indigenous cases in many districts like never before. Oh, within no time, Nagesh, very good. All are correct. I appreciate that. What is the subject here? The movement is the subject. After that, we have a phrase of persons. And there's one more phrase from where? From Chennai. Put always put the phrases and clauses that go with the subject in brackets and check the subject and verb. What is the subject here? The movement, third person singular. Then you cannot say have, you have to say has. The movement has led to. It is a question related to subject verb agreement. Good, I appreciate you guys got it. The Directorate of Employment and Training also plans to host online job fair for non-resident Malayalis who have recently returned from other countries through the portal this month end. This is a bit challenging. You got to read very carefully. Is there any problem? I think it got stuck. No. The Directorate of Employment and Training also plans to host what? We have to use the indefinite article an. Host an online, whatever it is, job fair. An online job fair. Nothing wrong with return. Who have recently returned from, nothing wrong with that part. We have to use the indefinite article an online job fair. Go to the next one. The High Court of Karnataka on Thursday directed the state government to inform to all migrant workers. You have to stop here itself. I've told many a time. After the verb inform, no, no, nothing wrong with that word return. Why do you guys focus on the word return? Nothing wrong with that. Here, after inform, we should not use a preposition to. I inform the students. I cannot say I inform to the students. I inform the students. To should not be there. It's a common error. Redundancy there. We have five idioms. Try to get all the five correct. Stand the test of time means what? It proves its value over a long period of time and does not fail. Answer is a C. Time flies means what? Before you realize the day is over, then you say time flies. Time passes extremely quickly. Make up for lost time. To catch up, to do something intensely, to make up for a long period of not doing it. Answer is D. In the nick of time. Don't try to do things in the nick of time. Means at the 11th hour, at the last possible moment, just before it is too late. It's high time. It is the right time to do something or past the appropriate time to do something. But do remember when you use clauses like it is time, it is high time, after that the verb in the clause should be in the past form. It is high time you start your preparation wrong. Excuse me. It is high time you started your preparation. It is high time you went there. We have to use a verb in the past form. That is very important. You have to remember. Good, you got all the five correct. And the words we got yesterday, we got about nine important words. Try to write the part of speech, write the meaning. That will help in the long run. Spruce up. Spruce up the office. Spruce up something means what? To renovate, refurbish, fine tune, make it neat or tidy. Part of speech, verb, phrasal verb. What is this? A phrasal verb. Pivot can be a noun, can be a verb. Means what? To shift, turn, rotate. Noun and also verb. Sudden shift, refurbish, shifting. Yes. In tandem, this is like an idiom. I worked in tandem with the people of that particular department. Means what? Together. Important one. This is an important one. Flesh out. This is a phrasal verb. Flesh out the proposal with more information. Means what? Provide more information. Flesh out means to provide more information regarding a particular policy or a project. Barbs, two meanings. One, barbed wire. They use for fencing, barbed wire. But here, barb means what? A sharp remark, stinging remark. Part of speech, obviously noun. All hands on deck, an important one. It is an idiomatic expression. Means everyone participating in a particular work or particular project to complete it successfully. The project is very important. I want all the hands on deck. Means I want everyone to participate and make the project successful. Distress, part of speech, it can be a noun, it can be a verb. They are in distress, noun. They have been distressed, verb. Means what? To experience anxiety, sorrow, pain, to be in an unfortunate situation or condition. We came across this word many a time at the time of COVID. The editorials would use distress of the migrant workers. Nudge, it is a verb. You can also use it. Usually it is a verb, regular verb. You can also use it as noun. I got a nudge from him. Then it's a noun. I nudged him to do something. Encourage, one of the meanings. Then it's a verb. It's a regular verb. Foster, it can also be adjective. Foster something, encourage something, develop something, take care of something as a verb. Foster child, adjective. If you have got all the nine correct, you should be happy. Wonderful. That's all for today. Have a nice day. And after the session, join the Telegram group. We provide the PDF and try to work on important words. Today we have got so many words. There are 25 plus words. But because of the time constraint, I brought about 10 or 12. But go through and learn all the words. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.